This is a message to each of you who are thinking about the 26th of October. Maybe you're worried, maybe you're scared. Maybe you think you might lose your job, maybe you think you might get put in prison. Let's send a message to the world, to Keir Starmer especially, that the fight is not gone, okay? Not in us anyway. I am travelling back to the UK for literally the fight of my life. Men right now are fighting for their lives in prison, who have been falsely imprisoned, unlawfully imprisoned, pressured and forced and blackmailed to plead guilty to crimes they haven't committed. All of this will come up in our documentary, which will premiere on the 26th of October.
Tommy Robinson's team has just made a strategic move that could change everything about his case. The documentary Silenced has been removed from social media platform X. But this isn't a retreat, it's a calculated offensive. As Robinson's supporters wonder about this sudden shift, his team released a telling statement. It is time to purge my friend's contempt of court. It is time to get him out of prison. This marks a pivotal moment where the strategy has changed from public campaigning to legal precision. Let me explain what's really happening behind the scenes.
He believes the public has the right to have all the truth, not just what's provided by the mainstream media. He was following his principles. He passionately believes in free speech, he said, freedom of the press, and his overwhelming desire is to expose the truth. The judge said that the breaches were not accidental, negligent, or merely reckless. They were deliberate, direct, and flagrant.
Before we move on, I'd like to ask you a small favour. If you appreciate this content, please take a second to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Over 98% of you watch the videos without subscribing. It costs you nothing, but it makes a huge difference to us. So, did you click the subscribe button? Great, thank you so much. Now back to the video. What might seem like a retreat is actually a calculated offensive in Tommy Robinson's case. When his team removed the Silenced documentary from Platform X, many supporters were left confused and wondering about the reasoning behind such a decision. After all, public visibility has been a cornerstone of Robinson's approach until now. But this move reveals something far more sophisticated at play. The timing's particularly interesting. The documentary's removal comes at a moment when most observers expected an intensification of public campaigning, not its reduction. Robinson's supporters have built considerable momentum online, which makes this apparent step backward all the more puzzling. Some have questioned whether this signals a weakening of resolve or perhaps even surrender to establishment pressure.
For me, behind bars, the way I was treated, I was taken to a prison with quite a low Muslim population. What I'm known for is criticising Islam, so there's been many planned attempts to murder me and kill me in this country. Not seeing or speaking to anybody, and they used the reason that I was in danger. Now, they would have had risk assessments before I went there. I was purposely taken to be put in danger so that then that reason can be used to then put me on solitary confinement. And it took months before I got the opportunity to go before a judge. Once the judge heard what had happened in the trial, we found so many illegal and wrongdoings within this kangaroo court.
These concerns, however, miss what's really happening. This isn't about censorship or backing down. It's a deliberate strategy to eliminate potential obstacles to Robinson's release. By removing content that could be interpreted as contemptuous by the courts, his team is clearing the path toward freedom. The legal implications here are significant. Material published on social media can and has been used against defendants in contempt proceedings, especially in high-profile cases that attract substantial public attention. Robinson's team made their intentions crystal clear in their statement. It is time to purge my friend's contempt of court. It is time to get him out of prison. This declaration signals a direct shift in tactics. No longer is the primary focus on winning public support through documentaries and social media campaigns. Instead, they're addressing specific legal vulnerabilities that could keep Robinson behind bars. This represents a fundamental change in approach. For years, Robinson's strategy centered around making public statements, building awareness, and mobilizing support through social media. Now we're seeing a pivot toward addressing specific legal and social media liabilities that could potentially extend his detention. The team's language about purging contempt reveals their recognition that certain content, regardless of its truth or importance, presents a liability in the specialized arena of contempt proceedings. The legal strategy now appears focused on eliminating any material that could be used as justification to extend Robinson's detention. In the UK legal system, contempt of court can encompass a wide range of actions.
Tommy Robinson has been jailed at Woolwich Crown Court for 18 months after admitting contempt of court.
I mean, he's effectively been jailed for repeating false allegations he made over the past 2 years that were in breach of a court injunction. He, for 2 years he didn't, and then he started repeating them in online interviews and in a film. He made a 90-minute film that was shown a number of times.
Including publishing material that might prejudice proceedings or undermine court authority. By removing potentially problematic content, Robinson's team is neutralising ammunition that could be used against him in future court appearances. This calculated decision demonstrates an understanding that winning in the court of public opinion isn't enough. The legal battleground requires different weapons and tactics entirely. Public support might generate pressure, but it doesn't directly address the legal mechanisms keeping Robinson detained. His team has realised that every video, post, and documentary requires evaluation, not just for its persuasive power with the public, but for how it might be interpreted within the strict confines of contempt law. The documentary's removal isn't just about taking down a single piece of content. It represents a strategic legal manoeuvre designed to eliminate any content that could be cited as contempt of court, directly addressing a key obstacle to Robinson's release. The team is essentially cleaning house, removing potential legal traps that could ensnare their efforts to secure his freedom. This indicates a more sophisticated understanding of the legal landscape than many have given them credit for. This shift marks a turning point in the case, as Robinson's team moves from public advocacy to targeted legal precision. Rather than simply arguing their case in the public forum, they're now actively working to remove the legal justifications for continued detention. This demonstrates a level of strategic thinking that goes beyond mere protest or publicity seeking. The question now becomes whether this approach will succeed. Legal proceedings, particularly those involving contempt of court, involve nuanced interpretations of both law and fact. Robinson's team appears to be betting that by removing potentially problematic content, they can undermine the legal basis for his continued detention. If their understanding of the legal situation is correct, this could significantly improve his prospects for release. For supporters concerned about this apparent retreat, it's worth considering that strategic withdrawal on certain fronts can enable advancement on others. The team has made a calculation that Robinson's freedom takes priority over maintaining the documentary's availability, at least for now. This prioritization reveals their ultimate objective, getting Robinson out of prison rather than simply making statements or maintaining a public presence. As the situation develops in the coming weeks, we'll likely see whether this tactical adjustment yields the desired results. The removal of silenced may be just the first in a series of calculated legal maneuvers designed to address specific obstacles to Robinson's release. What appears at first glance as retreat may ultimately prove to be the most effective path to freedom. The removal of silenced shows a sophisticated grasp of legal strategy that many commentators have missed. Robinson's team understands that sometimes you must retreat on one battlefield to advance on another. This isn't weakness, it's tactical intelligence. This approach prioritizes Robinson's actual freedom over making public statements or maintaining visibility. It acknowledges the reality that different arenas require different tactics. The courtroom demands precision that social media campaigns simply can't provide. The weeks ahead will reveal whether this calculated shift succeeds. Robinson's supporters may need to adjust their expectations, looking less for public campaigning and more for quiet, effective legal maneuvering behind the scenes.